Look what we have here, y'all. Do I have to read it for y'all? No. Let's go.
Disney.
Let's go.
Disney is a whole series of creepypastas surrounding Disney's alleged unexplained abandonment of certain resorts.
Animatronics is freaky as hell as it is.
The Abandoned by Disney creepypasta was originally written by Slime Beast, a well-known internet horror writer who's created several viral creepypastas, including Funny Mouth, I Hate You, and Lost Episodes. The Abandoned by Disney...
Niggas be... Alright. Cartoons. When cartoons show up like this, do y'all be getting scared of those? The only thing I can say when I was a kid that I was scared of was the Squidward Suicide and Smile Dog. Smile Dog to this day, I am fucking scared of. If a picture of that nigga popped up in this video, I probably will end the video. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually scared of that nigga. I will end this video.
At point in the 2000s, Disney allegedly spent $30 million on a resort in the Bahamas called Treasure Island, which, according to the story, they supposedly later abandoned without a convincing reason. Based on the
Spectrum,
there was another resort that Disney abandoned under mysterious circumstances. This one was located near the beachside city of Emerald Isle in North Carolina.
Nigga, they got money to shit out. Why does it matter what they do with it or not? They have money to just throw away.
Slime Beast, the project was extremely controversial.
No matter what, they're gonna have money to just throw away.
They did some pretty sketchy stuff to acquire the land they required for the palace. Still, the creepypasta mentions that construction for Mowgli's palace did end up getting completed and even started to receive tourists for a while before being unexplainably abandoned in some pretty murky circumstances. The author of the story then alleges that he ended up visiting the abandoned resort to take some pictures and see what he could find, and that's where the creepypasta gets pretty disturbing. Based on the story, the resort had pretty much been stripped bare and left.
Yo, it's not as cold out here today. I still got the heater on low, but it's 50 degrees right now. It's not 27.
Desks, refrigerators, abandoned statues,
but it is what?
Other miscellaneous objects,
2:30
and the buildings themselves to show for the once
p.m.
functional Mowgli's palace. Allegedly, Disney had also released their exotic animals onto the grounds upon abandoning the resort, including
bruh. I have yet to see a bat up close. There's bats where I live that fly around, but I have yet to see a bat up close. I think the only freakiest thing I've seen, because I touched the starfish. Starfish are hard. Them shits are hard. But no, like the freakiest thing, probably a tarantula. It was like my elementary school teacher. She used to have, I don't know if she still has it or not. I don't know. She used to have like this case that you could put like a jersey or something in, like a case, and it was a big ass tarantula. It was like literally the size like this. And it was dead. I was like, bruh, that's how big them shits get. Ain't no way niggas is picking them shits up. Ain't no way, man. You pick up a tarantula, bruh. Are tarantulas venomous?
Disturbingly, the creepypasta mentions that
imagine something that big, venomous, bro.
Had been spray painted with the words "abandoned by Disney," possibly by disgruntled employees who were fed up with Disney's sketchy doings. At one point in the story, the author allegedly went down the stairs into a room that was labeled mascots only and came across a photo-negative version of a Mickey Mouse costume that somehow came to life and pulled its own head off in front of the author to scare him. Now, obviously, pretty much every single detail about this story from start to finish is completely fake. The same goes for every other story.
Nigga, if I see a mascot pull its head off, I'm not sitting there. I'm bouncing.
But it actually was based on some real events.
Niggas would rather sit there and record a video. I'm doing the dash, boy.
Back in the late 90s. Between 1974 and 1999, Discovery Island in Bay Lake, Florida was a popular Disney attraction open to the public, who were drawn there by the dozens of...
Yo, is this not Mr. Nightmare? Is this Mr. Nightmare's second channel? Because I remember I found this dude, and I was like, bruh, he sounds dead like Mr. Like, he sounds like older Mr. Nightmare. I don't know if they all use like the same... I don't know if it's like a same voice, like they just have a similar voice, or if it's like a voice modulator. I don't know. Like I don't know if he's using a voice modulator. He sounds like Mr. Nightmare.
Getting charged with animal cruelty after the company admitted that a few.
But I ain't gonna lie, that boy Mr. Nightmare's voice did change like 6 times.
For unrelated, unspecified.
But I think it's just his mic quality.
Disney Island was closed in 1999.
Because now he's like real crisp. Back then he was young. He had to be younger.
Since its closing, the island was pretty much left abandoned to rot under the elements, and over the years, its structures have sustained major hurricane damage. Interestingly, as of 2024, all buildings and attractions of the original resort remain on the island.
I chat when I'm scared, y'all.
Creepy and
these videos be scaring me.
Nowadays, the area is fully off limits to the public, but that hasn't stopped a few urban explorers from venturing out into the island and finding some pretty disturbing stuff. In 2004, urban explorer Shane Perez visited the island 5 years after its abandonment, swimming through 300 feet of freezing cold alligator-infested Florida lake water to reach Discovery Island and spend the night exploring the remains of the mysterious resort. Interesting.
This nigga got some dedication. 300 feet in alligator-infested water? You are a nutbag. You are a nutbag. Just to see what's popping off in Disney's Discovery Island? Clearly nothing. He just said it's hurricanes. Nothing's there. Who wants to be there? Alligators can get up there where you're at. Imagine he's staying the night. Next thing you know, just one little alligator just decides to stroll the town. Just stroll the town with him and the missus. Him and the missus find an old boy sleeping in a building. Hey man, you don't know what alligators are capable of.
During their visit,
they could find you.
That several lights throughout the island were still.
They don't just stay in water.
And a little more disturbingly, they found all kinds of odd things in the abandoned sheds, including snakes stuffed in Coke bottles and a bunch of animals that were left behind by Disney when the island closed.
Well, I thought that was just a bunch of piss.
Similar to what was mentioned in the fictional Creepypasta.
I literally thought that was just a bunch of bottles of homeless man piss.
Again, they uploaded all of their findings onto a now infamous blog post that ended up being featured on the news. Obviously, this didn't make Disney look too good, and as a result of trespassing, Shane was banned from all Disney resorts for the rest of his life. But he triggered a wave of intrigue around the island that is.
Yo, how would they know? All right, I'm sorry for the pauses. How would they know your face if you got banned? If I'm being honest, how would they know your name? Like, how would they? Just wait a couple years and you can literally just show back up.
For the years,
just say you look like explorers like what?
To explore the
what?
Islands,
Do they check IDs here?
Interesting videos, blog posts, and pictures.
I ain't never been to Disney World.
Nowadays, the island is under extremely heavy 24/7 surveillance, which would make it almost impossible to explore for a regular civilian.
I wouldn't think they check IDs. So it's like, what's the point of banning it? You gonna put his picture up? Somebody gonna snitch on him? No. If I see somebody, bro.
As it's pretty clear that behind the cute mouse costumes and the fairy tale facade, there's a bunch of stuff the higher ups of the company definitely don't want the public to see.
Yuck.
The Smiling Man. In April 2000.
I'm not gonna lie. This shit kind of scared me. The Smiling Man. I ain't seen none yet. I'm not gonna lie. If it's freaky, I will skip this shit. Or I'll just keep my eyes shut.
Smiling Man.
I'm not trying to see no freaky shit, bro.
At some point in 2012, Blue Title went for a solo walk in the middle of the night in Seattle, Washington, after his roommate had fallen asleep.
Chill out, bro.
At some point in the evening, between the hours of 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., he saw a strange-looking man dancing at the other end of the street. In the user's own words, it was a strange dance, similar to a waltz, but he finished each.
Hey, this is Mr. Nightmare's story. Mr. Nightmare read this shit.
He was
the nigga dancing in the street, and they had to run.
At first, Blue Title tried to walk past him, giving the man as much space as possible to avoid
hitting that Mike Jack
with him. But the guy just kept dancing closer and closer.
Nigga hitting that Mike Jack
thriller. About the account is the way the user describes the man's appearance. Based on the original post, the man was tall and lanky, wore an old suit, and had an extremely eerie expression on his face. His eyes were wide open and his head was tilted back to look at the sky. Even more unsettling, his mouth was twisted into a forced-looking smile that seemed permanently fixed on his face. To make a long story short, the smiling man ended up chasing Blue Title for several blocks until the user eventually outran him and made it back to his apartment.
Hey, see, he said he crossed the street. He crossed the street, and then they turned around. He crossed the street. And then next thing you know, they turn back around. They start walking. They hear. They turn around. They see him running.
There's a lot more detail
I know the story,
chase,
bro.
But I'm leaving out some of it for simplicity. Based on what was mentioned in the post, the user continued to live in that city for another 6 months and never went out on another solo late-night walk again.
I'm never walking by
This
myself.
is usually the kind of story that you would read and immediately dismiss as fake.
At night.
But the Smiling Man is one of those
posts
that there's no good reason to believe it's not true. After the story was posted, the Smiling Man turned into something of an urban legend and became a classic creepypasta.
Oh, why so serious?
Featured in horror forms and even being turned into multiple different short films over the years. Still, the original story was not designed to be a creepypasta as it came to be over time. The author has continued to insist it's
See,
real.
Llama Arts, there was
For context, the Let's Not Meet subreddit, which is where the story was originally posted, was created for people to share their true accounts of scary in-person encounters.
I'm tapped in with the scary shit, bro. I've watched damn near every video.
Of the subreddit, no fictional or paranormal stories.
Shit, I've watched every Nightmare video, low-key.
Made up usually results in the post being immediately removed.
I still be listening to this.
All this to say that the Let's Not Meet admins make a big effort to keep the subreddit clean from any kind of stories that are obviously fake. That's not to say that some fabricated stories don't slip.
Yo, is it weird that I just watch myself in OBS? Am I ruining immersion? I'm ruining immersion.
But I don't think the Smiling Man is one of them.
I like watching it through
Looking
OBS.
Into Blue Title's activity on other subreddits, I found that they seem pretty honest and genuine, often discussing martial arts, music, and other topics unrelated to creepypastas and internet horror lore. The fact that the Smiling Man is pretty much the only story the user has told since opening his account in 2012 is a pretty good indication that it's true. On top of that, dozens of users over the years have claimed to have seen the Smiling Man themselves, and a lot of the times it's the original author himself who shows up in the threads to fact check them and call them out when they're embellishing the story or fabricating details that are obviously fake. And sure, this is by no means 100% definitive proof that the Smiling Man was real, but I'm honestly inclined to believe that this actually happened. As for what the Smiling Man's intentions were on that night in 2012, it's really anyone's guess. I'd probably guess the guy was either under the influence of drugs, mentally insane, or really going out of his way to mess with Blue Title for no reason. With so many years having gone by since this incident took place, we'll likely never know. The only thing we can be sure of is that it's probably a good thing the OP ran away when he did. You never know what someone who's clearly not in their right mind is capable of, especially when there are no witnesses around.
Yeah, it's like, why are you walking at night then?
The year was 1991. In April of 2015, a Reddit user with the mysterious name I'm Sorry Michael posted a harrowing story in the No Sleep subreddit where he shared his first-hand experience of what it was like witnessing a 4-year-old get kidnapped from a school playground in the early 90s. Now, it's important to keep in mind that the No Sleep subreddit doesn't always feature true stories.
What?
In fact, it almost never does. It's pretty much entirely creepypastas.
Running out of pork belly can be dangerous.
In a second. The post was titled, "The Year Was 1991," and in it, the OP basically tells the story of how he arrived at a school's sports field to toss around a ball with some family friends on a warm spring day. As soon as he arrived at the field, the OP allegedly saw a little boy in a blue jacket running on the playground close to the playing field. Suddenly, a suspicious-looking dark van pulled up to the playground and parked right over the hopscotch outline. A few seconds later, a man in a sketchy-looking, low-quality bear costume got out of the vehicle, promised the little boy some candy, and put him in the back of the van before driving away. Based on the post, the uploader immediately got into his vehicle and tried to catch up with the van.
Bro, you know what's crazy? There are so many kidnappings that niggas just don't know about. There are so many people who just won't be found. That is so wild. And at any point, you could get kidnapped. At any point. You never know. Nigga, somebody could walk up behind you and chloroform your ass. They take your ass behind the building and chloroform your ass. Just, you out. You slumped. Ain't nobody see it. No camera was there.
Because he was so
and why? Another point. Security cameras. It is 2024. Niggas still have the little grainy shits to go. Nigga, it's 2024. If you don't get some smooth 4K quality, bro, what are you doing? You could be helping niggas.
As soon as he called 911, the operator
niggas want to keep them 1998 cameras
and hung up on him. It wasn't until the next day that the OP supposedly saw in the news that a 4-year-old boy named Michael Dunahee had disappeared from a school playground the day before. Interestingly, through my research, I was able to find that Michael Dunahee was a real kid that had disappeared, and it really did take place on a school playground in 1991.
Did they find
him?
Which
makes this Reddit post incredibly creepy. The real story goes that on March 24th, 1991, Crystal Dunahee, Michael's mother, was going to participate in a women's flag football practice at Blandshart Elementary School in Victoria, British Columbia. As soon as she arrived with her son at the school at around 12:30 p.m., Michael asked if he could go to the playground by himself. Immediately, Crystal felt that something wasn't right, but she let her son walk to the playground by himself under the condition that he had to stay there until his dad arrived at the school. Unfortunately, by the time his dad arrived,
is she fucking stupid? You're gonna let your 4-year-old go to the playground all the way across the school while you're playing flag football? Deserved.
Michael was gone. A search was immediately launched, and Michael was officially declared a missing person. That day, the little boy had been wearing a blue hooded jacket, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles t-shirt, rugby pants, and blue sneakers.
Like the real kid.
Despite the massive search effort, which quickly became one of the largest police investigations in Canadian history, Michael was never seen again. Over the years, the cops have received over 11,000 tips on the disappearance, but none of them have led to anything significant. Strangely, even though there were dozens of people at the school field that day, there were no witnesses to Michael's disappearance. And the only thing that they could get out of a nearby passerby was that a man in his late 40s or early 50s with a brown van was seen near the playground around the time of the disappearance. Overall, a lot of the details from the official investigation match up perfectly with the Reddit post, but the majority of them were never confirmed by the cops. It's likely that the OP completely made the story up. But that doesn't change the fact that this is at least based on a real event that happened. Sadly, because the disappearance took place over 35 years ago, it's unlikely that Michael will ever be found at this point.
I was about to say, like, bro, damn. That's
sad.
The
Alice Killings.
That is sad.
The Alice Killings is a Japanese urban legend according to which from 1999 to 2005, a series of brutal, unexplainable murders took place in multiple different towns in Japan. Based on the legend, each victim's life was taken in a very different fashion, and the only thing that tied the murders together was the fact that a playing card was found near or on the victims' bodies when
He's
they were
tripping, riding with the backpack in the front of the bike.
The legend mentions that on the
throws your weight off so much.
The name Alice
Throw it in that back basket, boy.
For example, one of the victims was allegedly buried in a shallow grave with a Queen of Clubs marking its entrance. Another card with the King of Diamonds was found crammed into the hand of another victim at a bar. Over time, people started putting their own twists on the urban legend, turning it into a creepypasta and adding all kinds of details to the original story, as usually happens online. But even though the specific details in the story of the Alice Killings are all fake, they're all based on a completely true story that's just as terrifying as the creepypasta. In 2003, an ex-military guy turned security officer in Madrid, Spain, named Alfredo Galán Setillo, shot a 50-year-old man named Juan Francisco Ledesma in the head in front of his 2-year-old son. From there, Alfredo...
He gave him head?
The officer in Madrid, Spain, named Alfredo Galán Setillo, shot a 50-year-old man named Juan Francisco Ledesma in the head in front of his 2-year-old son. From there, Alfredo went on to kill another 5 victims.
50 years old with a 2-year-old kid. Oh my goodness.
Over the next month, all of them picked completely randomly.
Yikes,
and
that's
for no
old.
good reason. After taking his second victim's life, he left a tarot card with
you can't play no type of games with your father.
After which, as you can probably guess, the media
and that nigga most likely gonna be stern.
Alfredo much more attention than he deserved. And thanks to that, he went on to kill another 4 victims and
why are old niggas stern? If you really think about it, all old niggas was kids at a point. And y'all wanted to do the same shit that we want to do. But y'all was doing it like, y'all shit was more dangerous. Why do y'all give a fuck that we do shit that y'all were trying to do? Like, how can you get mad at that? Yo, I'm on it, bro. I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm on it.
In addition to the cards,
old people just be hating.
Particular MO in
That's really what it is. They just be haters for real.
All of them were shot at point-blank range, and all of them were picked at random, unlike most serial killers who often stop.
Juan Carlos Martin Estacio.
On July 3rd, 2003,
they had 4 names.
Killer, as he quickly became known, turned himself into the police in a severely
they had
intoxicated
4 first
state,
names.
immediately confessing to the string of murders that had taken Madrid by storm that year. As soon as he sobered up, he tried to take back his confession, but at that point it was too late, as he had already revealed to the cops certain details about the pen markings on the cards that weren't even made public. Disturbingly, during the investigation, it was revealed that before carrying out his gruesome crimes, the killer would wish his victims good morning and ordered them to kneel down before executing them. That same year, Galán was sentenced to 142 years in prison, a punishment he's serving to this day. In 2023, Netflix made a documentary about him titled The Playing Card Killer. And at the end of the day, that's probably what these killers really want deep down, attention. But
everybody knows
he
that.
Won't be getting out anytime soon. And let's just hope the crazy amount of attention the media gives these killers doesn't motivate more lunatics to seek notoriety through these kinds of crimes.
Like, nigga, you're lame. You're going to get caught. You just throw your life away. That's
The
lame.
Doppelganger is a pretty well-known creepypasta that tells the fictional story of a kid named Trey who lived with his parents in a small rural county in eastern Tennessee. Based on the original Reddit post titled The Doppelganger, Trey's father Henry was a county warden who usually came home from work late in the evenings. One night, Henry came home and hesitantly let his wife and son know that one of his coworkers had been missing for 2 days. That same night, Trey's mom and dad made him promise that he wouldn't open the door for anyone, even for his own parents. The next day, Henry announced to his family that his coworker Mike's body had been found by a creek. Disturbingly, he also mentioned that even though Mike had only been reported missing for 2 days, his body was declared to be at least 2 weeks old when the authorities found him. This of course meant that somebody had been posing as Mike for several days, spending time with his family and going through his days pretending to be him.
Wait, hold up, what?
One night, Father Henry was a county warden. Story of a kid named Trey who lived with his parents in a small rural county in eastern Tennessee. Based on the original Reddit post titled The Doppelganger, Trey's father Henry was a county warden who usually came home from work late in the evenings. One night, Henry came home and hesitantly let his wife and son know that one of his coworkers had been missing for 2 days. That same night, Trey's mom and dad made him promise that he wouldn't open the door for anyone, even for his own parents. The next day, Henry announced to his family that his coworker Mike's body had been found by a creek. Disturbingly, he also mentioned that even though Mike had only been reported missing for 2 days, his body was declared to be at least 2 weeks old when the authorities found him.
Bro, that prison slop.
That somebody had been posing as Mike for several days,
digging all
spending
my
time
food,
with his
bro.
family and going through his days pretending to be him.
That's
that
that
night,
nasty
when Trey
ass
went up to his
school
room, he
slop.
heard a
That's
knock
worse
on
than
his window.
school slop.
It was his dad's voice asking to let him in and claiming that he had just gone outside to check on something and had accidentally locked himself out. Eerily, that's when Trey's dad appeared in his doorframe, holding a finger up to his lips, signaling for his son to be quiet. After scaring away whoever was at the window, the family went down to sit together at the kitchen table, fearing for their lives. Later that evening, the impersonator once again tried to enter the house, pretending to be Trey's dad. This time, Henry called his officer friends over, who agreed to help him track down whoever or whatever it was that was pretending to be him. While his dad was out, Trey went up to his room to hide under the blankets, and when his dad came back, he scolded him and his mother for having left the front door unlocked. Still, the family went to sleep, and the next morning, Trey woke up to an overpowering smell coming from his parents' bedroom. He immediately realized his parents weren't home. Upon opening his parents' closet door...
Yo, nigga, how do you leave the door unlocked? How do you leave the door unlocked, fam? Every night, no matter what, you're supposed to check every window, every door. You better make sure everything stays locked.
The body of a woman who looked just like his mother tumbled down and onto the floor.
Come on.
As soon as his parents got home, they made up a story to explain what had happened, softening some of the details so their son wouldn't end up even more traumatized. The creepypasta ends with Trey noticing that his dad's hair is a different shade of black than it usually was, leaving the story on a cliffhanger. Obviously, pretty much everything in the creepypasta is entirely made up.
I'm running away.
But the story itself was based on an illness called Capgras syndrome, which is a real psychiatric condition in which people end up convinced that their family members and other people close to them have been replaced by imposters or doppelgangers. Through my research, I found that people with Capgras syndrome often end up becoming aggressive and even violent with the loved ones they accuse of being imposters. And disturbingly, a pretty clear correlation...
Yo, this is a Creeps Mix pasta, creepypasta, ain't it? It's my husband isn't the same person or something. She's like looking at photo books. If y'all know, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Capgras syndrome and violent homicides within families.
She looking at old photos and she's like, "Oh, he has a different nose.
Such as Parkinson's
he has a different face.
Epilepsy, and stroke are more prone to developing Capgras syndrome, as well as people who suffer from schizophrenia and similar illnesses."
Yeah, you know what's crazy? You don't know you have schizophrenia until you start seeing shit. That's wild. That's wild. You don't know until you like see something. Yo, imagine you see something staring at you, bro, and like, what the fuck is this?
Interestingly, when the cops called his girlfriend to get her side of the story,
no, nigga, that's in your brain. You can't get rid of it.
False, and that her boyfriend had no history
that medication ain't doing shit. Them pills ain't doing nothing for you, boy.
Series of events where the patient
they just numbing your ass.
He was convinced his entire family were imposters. Disturbingly, he claimed that his mother had been replaced by a government employee who had been sent to elicit a confession from him about his behavior while he was in the military. Apparently, the guy felt guilty about having taken naps during work hours and punching a wall during boot camp, and was scared that his mother would find out about it.
What type of fucking gym is that?
Claimed he had also been
I'd be pissed if they told me to go work out in them fucking barracks.
The doctors that her son was not a violent person. Fortunately, after treatment,
nigga, I'm in the fucking army, not no prison yard, nigga. Treat me with some respect. Nigga, I'm in the army. Nigga, give me a good elliptical machine. Give me a staircase machine, my nigga. Why am I out here with these little Walmart weights? It's the army.
I can't imagine how terrifying it must be both to wake up convinced that your family isn't really your family and to no longer be recognized by someone you love.
Nah, gang, that was fire. I knew like 17 out of the 17 stories he told. I shot 100%. I know ball.